Hi, my name is Mark Dowds. I'm the founder and CEO of a technology company called Responsible, based in Belfast, Northern Ireland. We exist to fight for circularity, specifically in the fashion industry.
Hi, my name is Christopher Raeburn. I'm the founder of Raeburn Design. We're based here in Hackney in East London. Been running the company since 2009. We started with a really clear mission statement: how to change the world through responsible design. And our whole business is about remaking amazing things like parachutes, silk maps, life rafts, you name it, reducing our impact on the environment, or fully recycling clothing.
So Responsible, as I mentioned, is a technology company, and we're focused on not just re-commerce and resale, but the regeneration of items. And we work with brands like Raeburn to help bring those products that have been previously made into basically, and give them a second life, make sure that they're kept in circulation for a lot longer. Christopher, thanks for hosting us here today. Yeah, in this beautiful studio where things are remade. Actually, tell us a little bit about the remade aspect of things in the brand.
Yeah, sure. So behind us is our atelier. We're here in East London. This used to be the beating heart of a lot of British manufacturing, clothing manufacturing here in London. And for us, it's really important within Raeburn that we actually physically make things ourselves. And the products that are actually made here in the studio in East London, they've actually been remade from original items. And that can be anything from beautiful parachutes through to 1950s silk maps, through to air brakes, through to life rafts. All of this cool stuff that already exists. We really believe you can take that, harvest it, deconstruct it, and then remake it into useful, contemporary and wearable pieces. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting for me now, because I started Raeburn back in 2009. My view has always been that as a designer, you have a responsibility to design in the best way that you can. And what that really means is choosing the best materials, thinking upstream about the choices you're making a product that's going to last for a long time. And then importantly, considering, well, what happens at the point of sale? If someone purchases something from Raeburn, step one, we're very grateful, but then also that's where the journey begins. And so we're already now in a position that, and when you and I spoke a year ago, we're already in a position, because our company's 13 years old, that we've got customers, really loyal, brilliant customers, that have now come back to us to say, do you know what, I love what you're doing, but actually I've got 5 or 6 or 7 of your jackets from the last 13 years, and that's kind of normal maybe. So what happens next, and how could we look at thinking about, again, a responsible way to bring some of those jackets back and still empower that customer with their own choice of what happens next? I mean, that was really my interest when we started to talk.
And for us to meet you and already working on the full aspect of circularity, bringing things back to life, bringing things that were previously made as something else and giving them a whole new journey, engaging them from a technology perspective to really enable your customers to trade things in, or enable you to buy them back and to control those products in the secondary market. I mean, I think that's really where we began to really close the loop on that.
That's the brilliant thing about the world we live in today, that if you can bring together the best of technology and the best of tradition, i.e. you can bring something back, you can have it repaired, which is quite an analog process, but then that's done in the digital world as well. I think that's where things get really exciting.
Yeah, one of the things that's been obviously important to you is you've been building a brand that stands for something important. And then when you get to secondary markets, often brands lose control, or they're sold on platforms, and there's no appreciation of what's been put into that. So in starting to work together, us learning how you work and what you value in your brand, have you seen a little bit of an extension or halo from that?
Yeah, I think absolutely. You're right to highlight that. It's an interesting thing, even as a designer, as a brand. You know, over the years now, we've created tens of thousands of pieces, and each one of those things we've put a lot of dedication into making, and again, the choices that have gone into those materials, hardware, and importantly, the design itself. At every stage, you're trying to do the best thing that you possibly can, and then importantly, that product's been sold because it's appealed to someone. And then what happens after that is actually kind of quite a fragmented and detached experience as a designer. So the exciting thing now is to actually see items coming back to Responsible that might have been out in the world for 6-7 years, and to almost have imagined or part seen that journey, and then importantly had the opportunity to see those things represented to the world in a really elevated way. And I think what you guys have been doing well is very much around the cleaning processes, repairs if it's needed, and then the photography and everything else that at each stage, again, has put that same dedication that we put in all those years ago back into that piece to get it back to the best possible position it could be.
So the technology that we've been building and providing for brands like Raeburn enables the brand to offer their customers the ability to trade something in against something of a next season. So Christopher, tell us what's the experience like when someone arrives on your website or when someone wants to trade something in?
Yeah, I mean, it's remarkably simple. They can see straight away when looking at a product what the value of that product might be at end of life. So that's really important already to know, okay, cool, well, if I'm buying this hoodie at 125 or whatever it may be, even once I've worn it, well, here's what it's going to be worth at the end of that journey. And then you also know, well, I've already maybe got one of those hoodies, or it's already that opportunity to potentially trade that item in and get that value off the new piece as well. So the great thing, it's completely transparent. I think it's very clear, whether that be if you're looking online, obviously through the app. It's a really important part of this conversation. The interaction has to be simple, has to be understandable, and people have to get it. You know, our job is actually to make, again, I think hopefully very good creative decisions for customers, right? Everything that we can do to make their lives easier and to make positive choices, that's good news.
I think people have closets stuffed full of stuff, and then we continue as brands to manufacture more and more every year, where if we can unlock more of what's in the closet, similar to the automotive market and really beginning to expand, you realize that the secondary market could be significantly even bigger than the primary.
And importantly, as we continue to have this, you know, let's face it now, a real issue with dwindling resources, and there's going to be even more value in those original pieces that actually were made with the most premium materials and everything else. You know, long term, we're going to be mining landfills to extract synthetics, right? So you then think, wow, okay, what's that going to be doing with the clothing market if there's already all of these things that already exist, right? You know, this is quite an abstract thought, but it will happen. So the more we can do now to keep things in circulation and do things in a meaningful way, it's only going to help. If we as an industry could basically keep things in pillars, it would really help.
I mean, it's frightening the amount of things that are being either stashed in a closet or thrown away and discarded. I mean, it's got to a point of disgust.
Yeah, and to your point, worse still, never even make it to a customer. They're being overproduced to begin with, right? So you're already talking about a decent section. Yeah, and it's really chastening, you know, in a world that's now got a lot of depleted natural resources, that we're still pumping out all of this stuff. For me, it's important to acknowledge that, you know, a lot of folks need affordable clothing, so there's no qualms with that, and particularly cost of living crisis and the reality of the world that we live in. But for me, this is really a conversation about making sure that garments are truly worn and worn for a sustained period of time. You know, and those are some of the really easy wins that we could do to begin with. What can you do to keep things in circulation before always thinking that you need something new, and worst of all, not even using anything at all.
The main challenge of what we're trying to bring to the brands is that, you know, you're manufacturing, take responsibility for those things that you're making, and make it easy for your customers to bring those things back. You know, give them an incentive, give them a financial incentive to trade it in, but obviously to keep it in rotation, because if that's happening, then eventually our hope is that we manufacture less, where brands can still benefit financially from those second life items.
A, it makes perfect sense, it's common sense, and then B, there's another element to this, that absolutely government legislation will be going this way in the future anyway. So any brands looking to future-proof themselves towards those changes in legislation should be thinking about these things anyway. We will be at a point where it doesn't matter where you purchase a product from any brand, you'll be able to know, okay, where that was made, the materials, of course, that have gone into it, and then importantly, what happens next. So I think what you guys are doing at Responsible is actually it's a pathfinder, but then it's also a framework for the future.
The one piece I'd love to be calling out is that go into your closet, consider what's there, consider what you really need, and get those things out and get them into rotation. It's not just not throw them away, we don't want to see anything in landfill, but find the right solution to bring them back. If you're working with the brands that we'll work with, they'll be able to take those back and you'll be able to have a financial benefit from that as well. Our handles on the screen, we'd love to be hearing from you. We'd love to learn from you if you've got anything else that you'd like to share back to us and feedback. But we've open channels.
To begin with, buy well, considered choices, responsible choices, and then absolutely do everything you can to keep that garment being worn, repaired if it needs to be, given on and importantly rotated. And I think it's really just going to be about putting the best foot forward, right? And hopefully enjoying it as well. Clothing should be fun, fashion should be fun, and yeah, we do some pretty good positive steps together, we're going to be able to make a good difference.